Welcome in, everybody. Nugs, how are you doing? We are doing a Choose Your Own Adventure book. I am going to attempt to read it, and we're all going to attempt to get through the night shift alive. There are puzzles in here. This is going to be part one. It's a horror game book, and get this, it's not that far away from Halloween. Perfect. Night shift. We're going to do this. You wake up with a start, and the darkness confuses you at first. Where are you? With your heart thudding in your chest, you grope aimlessly around, trying to get your bearings. You're lying across functional and slightly sticky faux leather chairs. Oh, that's right. You give a relieved sigh as your eyes adjust to the gloominess, and you can now make out furniture in the small break room. How long had you been asleep? It had been an intense night shift in the operating department so far. You hurtled straight into an emergency aortic aneurysm, who, despite everyone's best efforts, died on the table. And once you clean that up, the phone rang, warning you that an urgent neuro case was on its way. At least that'd gone better. Clot removed, patient patched up. But it was hard to say just how much brain damage was already done. That was 3:30. You and Nancy had trudged off the break rooms, where Nancy settled down with a Netflix program, and you'd gone off to catch some much-needed sleep. You always suffered from insomnia when you were working the night shift. You gradually noticed the silence. Maybe Nancy fell asleep too. But there's something else, and for that matter, what woke you up? You stand up, cracking your spine as you stretch, and then go to the door. As soon as you open it, though, it's clear that something is definitely wrong. The corridor is dark. You turned off the lights. The lights are never off. And then you hear it, a lazy, heavy drip. Drip. You think about calling out to Nancy, but your throat is constricted. So you inch towards the entrance of the other break room, fingertips walking over the wall. You draw closer and closer. You can now see a flickering light in the darkness. There's no sound, but the television illuminates the scene. You gasp, an involuntary intake of shock, and your hand automatically covers your mouth. You stare. You can't stop staring. You know that Nancy is beyond help. She is slumped over on her side, throat slashed from ear to ear, and stab wounds all over her body. An ever-widening pool of blood is collecting on the floor as it oozes down her neck and slowly coagulating drops. At that moment, you notice them. The footprints, the bloodied footprints walking away from the corpse and into the corridor. It breaks your paralysis, and you moan, "He's still here. The murderer is still here." For a second, you feel an overwhelming urge to slump on the floor and wait till he finds you. But then no, you don't want to die. You have to get out. You think quickly now. The intensive care unit. Plenty of people there. Plenty of help. That's the best place. You pad almost silently down the small corridor, pause at the end, then decisively open the door and slip into the main part of the operating department. You freeze, holding your breath, listening. The door closes behind you with a gentle whoosh. It's a giveaway. If he heard that, he knows exactly where you are. You stand there like a statue for an eternity, although it's probably only seconds, then set off again, running steadily towards the locked door at the far end. A door that connects the theaters to the ICU. Only a few more steps, just a few more steps. You slide into the alcove, trying to breathe without making a sound. You feel sick, but you're nearly there. All you have to do now is put the code in to unlock the door. And that's when you hear it, a distinct cough followed by a door opening and the footsteps of someone heavy, someone confident, and someone heading this way. Your brain explodes in a blaze of panic, all neurons firing at once. Get out. You turn to the keypad, remembering only the code is the first 4 prime numbers. He's getting closer. You can hear his breath. You can smell him. You only have one chance. With your sweating, slippery fingers, what number do you type in? If you want to type 2357, turn to page 230. If you want to type in code 1235, turn to page 97. And if you want to type in code 1357, turn to page 351. 100%, 2357. All right, 230. That's page 230. You yank the handle down and pull the door open. You slide through the gap and then desperately turn to close it. The shadow looms nearer. The door closes, but slowly. Oh no, so slowly. You feel a scream ripping at the side of your throat. Come on! And then it clicks just as the handle rattles. Your heart stops for a second, but you hear a curse and a fist slam on the door. You slump down the wall, legs too weak to hold you up, but blood thudding through your ears. Gradually you start to breathe again, and then you look around. You're in a corridor that you know well, but not like this. The dim nighttime light can't disguise how run down and abandoned it is. This isn't normal. You can see patches of damp and spores all over the walls. The paint is peeling off, and a thick layer of grime lies underneath your fingers. You get up, using the wall as leverage, but snatch your hand away as a spider runs over it. What's going on? You stand with your back to the door you just escaped through. The corridor leading to the intensive care unit is to the left. If you decide to head there, turn to page 127. However, if you go straight ahead, you'll reach the main hospital thoroughfare. And if you think that's a better option, turn to page 276. So the question here is going to be, are we going to go to the intensive care unit, which was our original plan, because we thought there was going to be a lot of people there, or are we going to go to the main hospital thoroughfare, if we think that's a better option? Okay, so here's my reasoning. The thoroughfare is the quickest way out of the hospital. However, it's probably at least, I don't know. I have no idea. ICU, if it's zombies, I don't even know if it's zombies. I haven't read this yet. This is a first read for me. So zombies, ICU, I think is bad because they're all dead. They're all zombified. Thoroughfare, it could be bad. It could be, I don't know. All right, I'm voting. Ooh, we're all voting for main thoroughfare. All right, so that's the winner. We're going to the main thoroughfare. You walk cautiously, ducking your head every now and then to avoid huge curtains of cobwebs hanging down. You can't begin to imagine what's happening. You have no idea what to do. All you do know is that you're being chased by a murderer, and the only thing that you can do is to try and find some help. You reach the end of the corridor and double doors that take you to the main thoroughfare. You open them cautiously, expecting the maniac to jump out at you, but there's just more decay, more silence. It feels as though you're the only person left alive. Where do you go now? Do you go left, or do you go right? All right, there we go. I think we can call it. We're gonna go to the right. Your heart sinks as you walk down the thoroughfare. You were hoping that it would look normal, that you'd finally wake up from a nightmare, but no. If anything, it looks even worse. Ceiling tiles are hanging down from the twisted metal struts, and there are deep, long gouges in the few vestiges of plaster on the walls. If you didn't know better, you'd say that it was claw marks, but it couldn't be, could it? You take a deep breath and approach the corner. You can either follow the corridor around to the left or investigate the nearby vascular ward. Do you want to go to the left or to the vascular ward? So far, we're still alive, guys. All right, so we're going to the vascular ward. Your hand grips the handle, and it's just about to turn it when you hear a cough from within. You freeze. The cough is followed by whistling, a chirpy little ditty, and heavy footsteps echoing around the ward. Hey, he's in there. You tiptoe softly away along the corridor. Further on, you see something attached halfway up that wall. That certainly doesn't look normal. You edge closer to find out what it is, but all you can conclude is that it's a black, wispy mass. It's only the size of a watermelon, but it looks suspiciously like a cocoon, and you're sure you can see it wriggling. You have a vision of it exploding with the scurry of 1,000 spiders, so you decide to give it a wide berth while you consider your next move. To the left is the door to the general surgery ward. You can hear a faint yet frantic squeaking from inside, but if you want to enter, turn to page 45. The orthopedic ward is to your right. Turn to page 63, but if you'd rather, you could continue along the passageway. So there's 3 options here. Zombie children, I say, yeah, I'm kind of curious. What do you guys think this is? This is my first time reading it. I have no idea. I mean, claw marks, cocoons. It's got to be a monster. The door opens with the faintest wheeze, but slams shut with a crash. Instantly, there's an exodus. A mass of sharp claws skittering across the floor, and you picture a flood of rats streaming away. At least they're not streaming in your direction. But now you're dreading finding out why they were here in the first place. After all, vermin usually only go where there's easy access to food, and in this place that can only mean one thing. As you walk through the deserted ward, you look at each bed, but there's no corpses, nothing. And yet you can smell something really bad. What is it? Where is it? Suddenly you realize that you're looking too low. Arranged decoratively around the curtain rails surrounding one of the beds like a Christmas garland is a complete set of intestines. The purple coils swell, then contract in hypnotic wave, and out of one torn end comes an occasional drip of putrid, thick liquid. You stare mesmerized for a while. Does this mean anything? Then shake yourself out of it. You notice that the gut is draped around bed number 5. But otherwise, you don't think there's anything else here. You leave the ward and head back into the thoroughfare. The door sweeps shut behind you, and you feel an inkling of relief that the vermin can't take you by surprise by flooding out. It's perhaps the only silver lining with this black cloud. Now, though, you need to decide whether to continue along passageway by going right or left. Alternatively, you can investigate the orthopedic ward opposite if you haven't done so already. So we're going to go back to the orthopedic ward, expecting a true horror-style ominous creak from the door. You're surprised when it opens silently. The ward looks like it's been abandoned for a decade, and you're reminded of the ghost town created by Chernobyl. Is that what happened? You rush to the window to look out when you wish you hadn't. All you can see is thick, dense forest, encircling and encroaching on the hospital as if it was regretting previously giving up that space and now wanted it back. Where was the car park, the high-rise tower block? the dual carriageway, saying, "It's always like that wherever we go." You scream and whirl around, clutching your chest. The voice came from the far end of the ward, but you can't see anyone. You'll have to come closer. I can't move. As you go further into the ward, passing the rustling bed frames, you can see that a curtain has been drawn around the last bed space. "Is that you behind that curtain?" "Yes, they shut me away from prying eyes. It's not pretty." "There's somebody here." Those last words freeze your hand, which was posed ready to pull back the fabric. You take a second to gather your nerve, then step through the parted curtains. Your first thought is that it isn't so bad. An ordinary looking woman, lying prostrate on the crumpled and blood-stained sheet, albeit with long scars over each limb. She smiles reassuringly at you as you return the smile. You start to see how flattened she looks. Your smile becomes a grimace when you circle the bottom of the bed and realize exactly what has happened to the woman. "They're all mine," she says, pointing with her eyes at the pile of bones on the floor. "He took them all, even the skull. They weren't the right ones." You stand with your fist pressed into your mouth, trying to suppress the urge to cry or vomit, which both threaten to make an appearance. Eventually, you realize that you really should do something, so you try to reinsert the bones into her body. If you want to do that, turn to page 105, or fetch her a glass of water. Do you want to try to put her bones back in her? Or do you want to get her a glass of water? It's a weird word to put there. Yeah, what? How is she laying prostrate? Is that a position to lay? I'm in the prostate position? Is that ass up? Because I mean, that's how I would imagine the prostate position being. Don't mean to make it funny, but you don't want to put her bones back in? Alright, here we go with giving her water. Page 358. You get a glass of water from the small kitchen and bring it to her lips. With no jawbone, she struggles to drink, so you pour a little into her parched mouth. After a little cough, she smiles gratefully and remarks that it's been a long time she had felt any kindness. "Who did this to you?" you ask. "Dr. Robert Carmichael. You must have heard of him. His notoriety surely stretches far from this world." You shake your head and wait for her to continue. "He's a monster to his core, and it's been for an eternity. He's looking for body parts. They're special. They're important to him. He's killed many women to get his hands on them." Her voice fades away. She sounds tired. "But what do you mean? He takes trophies? He's a serial killer? And that's who killed my friend?" But she shakes her head as if your very presence is exhausting to her. Just when you think she's fallen asleep, she raises her eyelids, stares directly at you. "Please stop him. I need to die now. It's been too long." She sinks into herself, and although you ask, How can I stop him?" there's no response. Although you learned something here, there are still many more questions than answers. You leave this ward where bones used to be mended, not excised and cast aside. You're standing back in the corridor, going over what you just seen, when you realize with mounting horror that the black wisp cocoon has vanished. You look left and right, there's no sign of it, and then the thought occurs to you that with utter dread, you look up. You let out a whoosh of air and softly mutter a curse. It's not above you either, although there are black streaks along the ceiling, tracing its path away to who knows where. Still, you have to decide where you should go now. You can't wait around here. You could continue along the passageway by going right or left. Or alternatively, you could investigate the general ward opposite if you haven't already done so. All right, we're going left. At the end of the corridor, turns again to the right, and you realize that you come full circle, back to where you started. The vascular ward lies directly ahead with its door slightly ajar. Turn to 380 if you want to investigate, but if you'd rather head for stairwell, and go downstairs, turn to 323. Stairwell it is. Looks like. The stairwell is a U shape, circling a lift shaft. As you take the first turn, you gasp and recoil. There's a skeleton, a human skeleton, slumped on the steps, curled up in the fetal position. You wonder briefly what happened to the person. How'd they die here like that? But slide quickly past the white bones. You step into a wide corridor of the main thoroughfare, grimacing as a splash of thick green pond water soaks into your socks. As far as you can see, the entire place looks flooded, and the air is heavy with a stagnant odor. So where to now? You could head left to the accident and emergency department, or you could go right towards the main entrance and the rest of the hospital. All right, we're going to the ER, everybody. Ready? You arrive at the double doors leading to the A&E department. It has a strange orange light emanating from it, which makes you wonder whether this was a good idea after all. Still, you're here, so you might as well go in. The reason for the orange glow is simple. The ceiling floor and every wall are painted orange. You walk into the waiting room, footsteps echoing because there isn't a single piece of furniture. No curtains, no chairs, no gurneys, nothing to absorb the sound. Through the glass door of an exit, you see a brick wall. So there's no way out, and fighting back the disappointment, you turn 180 and walk out of the waiting room. The large patient area is to your right and is divided into... All right, everybody, you ready? You ready to help me out with a word? All right, Nugs, type it out. RESUSCITATION. Resuscitation? I heard you, Nugs. I heard you. The large patient area is to your right and is divided into resuscitation, general treatment room, and quiet room. For psychotic episodes, where do you choose to go? Resuscitation, general treatment room, or quiet room? Oh, yeah, quiet room, general treatment, or resuscitation. They have a room to resuscitate? I have never heard of a hospital having a separate room for resuscitation. Don't they just do that wherever the person died? Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry, you're dead right now. We're going to have to move you over here. It's going to take a little while because they're all full. But in about 30 minutes, we're going to get you over to the resuscitation room. The resuscitation room. The room to bring people back from the dead. This very specific room for this. This is where doctors and nurses strive to snatch people back from the jaws of death. It was a place of high drama and emotion. And high energy, a voice says from the far corner. At first you think it's just a shadow, yet the smell is strong. It's a delicious smell of cooked meat, but with a surge of nausea, you see that it's cooked flesh, human flesh. It's not a shadow, it's a charred human being, which is still smoking, yet still walking towards you. Should you leave? Don't leave, it says. As you realize it's red, reading your mind. Yes, it is. It stops and stands in front of you. You can clearly see the tightened and split skin, the dark and empty pits where the eyes once were. The stench is nauseating. It's number 7. She gestures as if she were pulling back her hair to show off the side of her head. But there is no hair left, just blackened scalp. Carmichael took my ears because he needed my power. He fought, though, and there are more ways to skin a cat, and witches are resourceful, vengeful too. He should not forget that. So if he took your ears, how can you still hear thoughts, you ask, wondering if this night could get any more surreal. It raises its arm out to the side, making a horrendous cracking noise as 2 tight fleshes give away and rinse. The answer is around you. Color is more powerful than you could ever believe. Orange stimulates energy. All you need to do is learn how to harness it. But does that mean you can't leave here? It acknowledges your question with a sad nod of the head, then looks up and takes a step towards you. But you can. You need to save yourself. By doing that, you can save me and 10 of my sisters. He hides beyond this place, and you can only leave through that mortuary. You look totally bemused and are about to say, "What?" when it reaches out and silences you with a finger on your lips before stating dramatically, "Be with the corpse behind the number of ribs. Now go." With that shout, she pushes you back and disappears, leaving with barbecued grease on your lips. Once you've wiped that off, you need to decide where to go next. You can now choose to go to the general treatment area or to the quiet room. Or if you haven't already, you can visit the A&E room and go up the stairwell, which we already have done. Okay, quiet room it is. Entering the quiet room, you switch the table lamp on and illuminate the cozy safe space. There are soft cream walls with an inviting plump sofa, and over to the side a single bed with... You cry out, fear completely paralyzing you. As much as you want to, you can't close your eyes. You can't help but stare. There's a wizened from lying under the sheets, and crouched on its chest is a black and malevolent form. It gazes at you with yellow eyes, then shifts on its haunches. Is it getting ready to attack? This thought freeze your frozen muscles. If you want to try to talk to it, turn to page 184. But if you want to attack and strike first, 267. Now, here's the word that I was having an issue with. Wizened, Wizened. There is a wizened form lying under the sheets, and crouched on its chest is a blackened, malevolent form. Alrighty, here we go. We're going to talk to it. "I mean no harm," you announced in a trembling voice. "I'm just trying to get home. Can you help me?" The thing regards you with a bored expression, unfolds one leg, stretches it, and then tucks it back underneath its rump. "Excuse me," you say with a less trembling voice. "Is this thing just going to ignore you?" After a pregnant pause, it's obvious that yes, it's just going to ignore you. You tut loudly, then leave the room. You can now choose to go to the general treatment area or the resuscitation room. But if you've had enough of this place, you can simply leave A&E and go up stairwell. Let's see, we've done the resuscitation room. Have we done general treatment? Hold on. Apparel means shriveled or wrinkled in form. Apparently it means shriveled or wrinkled in form. It's a hard word. Definitely screwed me up. I think we have to go to the general treatment. It's the only way that we haven't been. Well, we have to go through the mortuary at some point. Looks like, yeah, general treatment is going to win out. You drift around the trolleys and chairs and think about the myriad of people treated here. Most would have been patched up and sent home, and some would have gone to the wards or even to you for emergency operations. Over in the corner, there's a small plaster room with its white haze of plaster of Paris. Every other surface. It even still hangs in the air. You can taste it in your mouth as every breath draws the gypsum into your lungs. You can't see anything of interest here, so feeling an irritated cough build up. You decide to leave. Just as you reach the door to leave, you spot something familiar hanging from a drip stand. A stethoscope. You grab it and drape it around your shoulders. You never know when it might come in handy. You can now choose to go to the quiet room, the resuscitation room. However, if you've had enough of this place, you can simply leave A&E and go up to the nearest stairwell. I think that's our only choice at this point because we've done everything in this room. Yeah, we have to go up the stairwell now. It's going to be 357. If this is your first time in this stairwell, you're going to be shocked to see a curled up human skeleton nested halfway up the stairs. If you've already met the skeleton, you pass by it without batting an eyelid. At this stage, you're getting quite blasé and are wondering if anything can shock you ever again. The answer to that comes quickly as you take the final corner and almost trip over the black whipsy cocoon, which is writhing on the landing. You leap back, falling down a couple of stairs before you can catch your balance, then watch in horror as it draws itself up. Is it about to explode? Beware, the Witchfinder General, a booming voice announces, the words echoing up and down the stairwell. His work here continues. With that, the cocoon slumps down, then scoots off up the wall and through an almost invisible vent in the ceiling. The only thing left of the encounter is a few black streaks. Once you've calmed down and your heart is beating normally again, you leave the stairwell. The first floor corridor looks the same as it did the last time you were here, only now you're not just wandering around aimlessly. You need to get out of here. And if you've already found a clue of who can help you do that, you should also be able to pinpoint a destination. So where do you want to go? Back to the operating theaters, the prayer room, or the vascular ward? We've been to the vascular ward, and we've been to the operating theaters, so I mean, I would imagine we want to go to the prayer room. Alright. So we're going to the prayer room. You stand in the middle of the prayer room, surrounded by umber. If you saw the anagram, then you're sure that you're in the right place. But what happens now? Well, if you recorded the code word shards, you must immediately turn to 145. If you didn't, you can carry on reading. Good, because we didn't. Your frustration rises, and just when you're on the verge of throwing the chairs around and stomping out, you notice a slight movement. You dart round to face it. But face what? All you can see is the mural. The forest scene with a deer, a badger, and of course, a crow. You watch closely and see another movement, and another, and you realize that the crow isn't a glass image anymore, but a real live bird. It struts nonchalantly over the carpet towards you and caws purposefully, almost if it wants to talk to you. If you've been told how to communicate with animals, you should know the secret word. Turn the word into a number by using the code A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, ... Z equals 26. Add the numbers together and turn to the section with the same number. If you don't know the word, you are doomed to wander the hospital looking for a way out until you simply die or he finds you. Ooh, did we miss something or do you guys got this? Tell me you know what this shit is. I mean, we know that A is 1 and B is 2, but what did this bird say? You watch closely and see another movement. It caws purposely, almost if it wants to talk to you. If you've been told how to communicate with animals, you should know the secret word.